Most people think wealth comes from dramatic moves, quitting your job, flipping houses, or building the next billion-dollar startup. But here's the quiet truth no one puts in motivational posters. It's the tiny, boring, almost invisible 1% changes that build real wealth. While everyone else is chasing big wins, the ones who understand compounding quietly move ahead, day after day, without the noise. You've seen it. The friend who doesn't earn more than you, doesn't look smarter than you, but somehow always has money for a weekend trip or a new laptop without debt. It's not luck, and it's definitely not a secret course they bought at 2 a.m. It's math and discipline disguised as simplicity. The problem is, most people worship the idea of radical change. They think they need to cut every coffee, stop dining out, live like a monk for a decade, and then, maybe, they'll be financially free. It sounds heroic, but it's a trap. This all-or-nothing mindset kills consistency faster than bad investment advice. People try to sprint their way to wealth, but personal finance is a marathon that rewards patience, not adrenaline. You don't lose 50 pounds by running one ultramarathon. You lose it by walking a little every day, even when no one claps. Let's be honest. The reason most people fail with money isn't ignorance, it's exhaustion. They burn out trying to become a different person overnight. They download budget apps, read productivity books, and make color-coded spreadsheets that die after week 2. Then comes guilt. I'm just bad with money. No, you're not bad. You're just playing the wrong game. Because the real game isn't about perfection. It's about momentum. The 1% rule doesn't ask you to sacrifice joy. It asks you to make microscopic, manageable moves that quietly compound. Skip one impulsive purchase today, and it's not about saving $5. It's about building the muscle of control. Add 1% more to your savings, and it's not about the amount. It's about shifting your identity from spender to investor. Here's the paradox. The smaller the change, the bigger the impact, if you can stay consistent. People underestimate what daily repetition can do because it looks too easy to matter. But every wealthy person you admire started exactly there. Small, repetitive, almost boring habits that eventually became automatic systems. So, if you've ever felt tired of financial advice that makes you feel guilty or overwhelmed by gurus telling you to hustle harder, breathe. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to become 1% better than yesterday. That's not a slogan, it's a strategy. And over time, it's the only strategy that never fails. Everyone talks about compounding, but few actually understand it. Most imagine it as a complicated math trick that only Wall Street people get. In reality, it's the quiet miracle that turns tiny choices into unstoppable momentum. If you get just 1% better each day for a year, you're 37 times better by the end. And yes, that's actual math, not motivational fluff. The same law applies to your money. A small, steady change in saving, spending, or investing compounds far beyond anything you can see in a week or even a month. Think of Warren Buffett. He didn't become a billionaire because of a magic year. He became one because he stayed in the game for 70 years. Compounding doesn't reward brilliance, it rewards consistency. The 1% effect is the financial version of gravity. It works whether you notice it or not, but it pulls you harder the longer you stay under its influence. The only question is whether you'll align with it or fight against it. Let's ground it in something real. Imagine you earn $3,000 a month and decide to save just 1% more. That's $30. Nothing heroic, barely the cost of one takeout meal. But next month, you do it again and again. After 12 months, you're saving $360 more a year. Add a modest 7% return, and the snowball starts rolling. Now imagine this behavior stretching across a decade. That's when people start calling you lucky. But luck, in finance, is just compound interest wearing a disguise. The same rule applies in reverse. Overspend 1% more each month. One impulse click, one unnecessary upgrade, and your finances quietly rot from within. No alarms, no red alerts, just a slow erosion that feels invisible until your card declines. That's the dark side of compounding. It amplifies both discipline and neglect. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never benefit from the 1% effect because they chase the 100% moment, the viral stock pick, the perfect market entry, the massive raise. They forget that the real secret isn't velocity, it's duration. Stay consistent and the math will handle the magic. So, when you see those overnight success stories online, remember this. The spotlight is blinding you from the timeline. Every miracle of wealth was once an accumulation of microscopic, boring 1% choices. And right now, yours is waiting for day one. Money isn't just math. It's emotion dressed up in numbers. You don't overspend because you miscalculated. You overspend because it felt good. That's why most financial plans collapse faster than New Year's resolutions. They ignore the brain's addiction to instant gratification. Your mind doesn't care about future stability. It wants the dopamine hit now. And that's where micro wins change the game. Here's the trick. Your brain can't tell the difference between saving $10 and winning a small lottery. Both release the same tiny rush of dopamine, the chemical that says, do that again. Every time you make a 1% improvement, you're not just fixing your budget, you're rewiring your reward system. You're teaching your brain that financial progress feels good. Stanford researchers call this the success loop. The smaller the victory, the faster it reinforces the behavior. That's why video games keep you hooked with micro rewards, not grand finales. In finance, the same loop applies. When you track your spending for 7 days straight, or when you see your savings account grow by even $5, your brain celebrates. It doesn't care about the scale, it cares about the streak. Take Anna, an ordinary office worker. She started saving $1 a day. At first, it felt like nothing, pocket change. But after 30 days, her savings chart showed a steady upward line. She printed it, pinned it above her desk, and her mind did the rest. The dopamine kicked in. Saving became satisfying. By month 6, she was automatically transferring 10% of her income. The numbers didn't transform her mindset, the micro wins did. And that's the beauty of the 1% effect. It turns discipline into a game. You're no longer fighting against your instincts, you're using them. Each small win becomes fuel for the next. The process becomes addictive, in a good way. So stop waiting for that big promotion or market boom to feel financially secure. The confidence you're chasing doesn't come after the success, it creates it. Every time you make a micro win, you shrink the gap between who you are and who you want to be. Because in the end, wealth isn't about money management, it's about emotion management, and the smartest investors are simply the ones who learn to celebrate one small win at a time. You don't need more motivation. You need a system that keeps working even when you don't. That's the whole point of the 1% rule. It's not about hype, it's about automation. Wealth isn't built in the moments you feel inspired. It's built in the moments you forget you're even doing the right thing. The goal isn't to become disciplined. The goal is to make discipline unnecessary. Step 1. Track 1% behaviors. Forget the complicated budgeting apps that look like cockpit dashboards. How much comes in? How much goes out? How much disappears without you knowing where? Write them down. That's not a suggestion, it's a mirror. Once you face your real numbers, you've already separated yourself from 95% of people who prefer denial. Step 2. Automate 1% actions. Set a recurring transfer, just 1% of your income, from checking to savings. The amount doesn't matter. The motion does. The moment you make it automatic, you've turned your bank account into your ally. That single line of code, transfer every month, will outperform your willpower 100 times over. Wealthy people don't wake up disciplined. They wake up automated. Step 3. Reward 1% success. Don't just track your wins, celebrate them. Got through a month without using your credit card? Great. Cooked at home 3 nights a week? Brilliant. Small wins create identity shifts, and identity is what sustains behavior. Treat each micro-victory like a checkpoint in a long race. You're not done, but you're moving, and that's what matters. Take John, for example. Average salary, average life. He built a simple 1% system, weekly tracking, 1 automated transfer, 1 visible progress chart. A year later, his savings were up 15%, his stress down 80%, and he didn't even feel like he was trying. Systems don't just manage your money, they protect your energy. So stop obsessing over doing more. Start building structures that do the heavy lifting for you. Think of automation as hiring a version of yourself who never gets tired, never forgets, and never spends emotionally. Because the richest people in the world don't have stronger willpower. They just built systems that made failure almost impossible.